Hey guys, JJ here, back for another Wednesday of Zoom networking. We have the absolutely amazing David Randolph as our guest speaker today. Uh, Ton of experience in real estate. He's been in this game for a minute and a half, not just a minute, but a minute and a half. Has a wealth of experience, come out of the corporate world, um, and it's just amazing rocket scientist with short sales. Can talk about massive profits with short sales today. David, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic, JJ. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, always good to see you, brother. I really appreciate you being in the group and bringing value, and here you coming to speak today. Hey, for those that don't know you, where in the country are you located?
I'm in St. Louis, Missouri.
Hot dog, hot dog. And how long have you been in St. Louis? Have you been there your whole life?
Yeah, pretty much. I went to college here. I spent 3 years in Cleveland, Ohio, though, before moving back to St. Louis.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure it's a beautiful part of the country. I know I'm out here in Los Angeles, and just a little bit crowded out here, but I'm sure the Midwest, St. Louis is just a beautiful place to be. So let me ask you, we talked a little bit the other day about your experience, and you're very experienced, with real estate. You've been doing this, as I say, for a couple of minutes. Was it something that's always available to you? I mean, was it something that was you around through your teens into your 20s? If not, what were you doing through those years if you weren't doing real estate? Just trying to see what you may have in common with other people. What were you doing through the teens into the 20s, the younger part of your life, just about 5 years ago?
Yeah, well, I mean, I went to high school like everybody else did. Nobody in my family had ever gone to college, and my parents really wanted me to go, but they didn't have the money to send me, so I had to actually do that stuff they call homework, in high school. Do your homework so you can be something in life. So I actually did that and got scholarships to go to college. And so I did
Cool.
go to college, first one in my family to ever go. Well, let me rephrase it. The first one to ever graduate. Then I got one of those things called corporate job. When you get out of college, a corporate job. Boy, was that a huge mistake. Okay. So I got a job as an engineer working for the corporation, the big life, right? Boy, that was a big mistake. So I'm working my butt off, working 80 hours a week. I'm on a salary, which means that I can work 90 hours and I still get the same thing. And so I was climbing the corporate ladder, and I was doing pretty good. I was going up those rungs. I was, technology manager and stuff. And then basically, I run into this little problem. I go in for my performance review with the head of personnel, and they said, "Hey, you got a patent this year, and you made us $1 million here, and you did all this kind of cool stuff." And we get to the end, like in any corporate job interview, your performance. Okay, what's my raise? Just tell me my raise. And they said, "Well, you don't get a raise this year. It's zero." And I go, "What do you mean? You just said I did all these things. I've been climbing up this corporate ladder as fast as I can go." And they said, "Well, look, you make as much as the president of our company, and nobody can get paid more than the president." And I go, "Well, give him a raise."
There you
And
go.
so anyway, I get to the top of the corporate ladder and I realize there's nothing at the top, guys. Quit climbing the corporate ladder and stuff because there's nothing at the top. So I climbed all the way back down the corporate ladder and I got on the real estate bandwagon. Okay. And that's when I learned about real estate. And so I went to a 3-day conference. My wife and I did. We fell in love with real estate. And it's like, man, anybody can do this. Okay. Anybody can do stuff in real estate. And so that's basically kind of how we got started into real estate then, and that was actually 15 years ago.
Wow. And so it wasn't too long after that you got into short sales, right?
Well, this was 2009, and back then, it was a real crisis. There was foreclosures everywhere. So we had to decide, well, what do we do in real estate? What's our method of buying houses? How are we going to do this? And we thought, man, here's a way to help families out. Okay, stop these big bad banks from taking their home, keep them in their home, help them save up their money, and then do a short sale to buy it. Okay, so it was a perfect opportunity because of all the foreclosure wave going on for us to learn how to do short sales and step in and help families out and make a whole lot of money at the same time.
Let me stop you really quick because there's so many acronyms, so many abbreviations, so many terms people don't know. We've got a lot of people on the call that are very experienced and know exactly what short sales are. But we'll probably have people watching on YouTube weeks and months down the line, maybe a couple of people on the call today that aren't familiar with the phrase short sale. What is a short sale? What does that mean?
Yeah, I'll give you kind of the real short definition. If you ask 10 real estate investors what a short sale is, they'll pretty much say, hey, it's when you owe more than what the house is worth. It's when the homeowner can't sell their house and pay off their loan. Okay. In other words, the house is not worth as much as the loan. And that's the general definition of a short sale, but it's actually dead wrong. Okay. So for all the 10 people on here who said that answer, I should have had them throw it in the chat box and I could say, you're dead wrong. That is not a short sale. The definition of a short sale. Now remember, this is my Zoom tonight, right? I get to tell you what I do, right? So you can disagree in the chat box, but I'm the one on the picture here, and so I'm going to tell you the real definition of a short sale. It is when you miss one house payment. That's the definition. See, you cannot do a short sale with the homeowner and with the bank unless they have already missed a payment. And so for me, when they miss one payment, boom, that is a short sale. That is ready to go for me to do a short sale. Okay. I don't care how much equity is in the house. Now that's going to blow some people's mind. We should have give a disclosure, a warning that I'm going to say things tonight that's going to probably blow a lot of people's mind, and they may have to jump off, because their ears will be smoking hot. But just hang with me. I can prove everything. Like I'll just go ahead and prove what I just said about the equity is irrelevant. There's a company called Black Knight. Okay, I bought them out. It's a data mortgage statistic company. Remember, I got that engineering background. I'm a data junkie nerd. Well, Black Knight did this study of foreclosures all across the country over the past 30 years. They took all the foreclosures, took those homes that had 40% equity, 40%. They could snap their finger and sell that house on the MLS, right? Well, instead, one third, 30% of those homes went to foreclosure anyway. It has nothing to do with the equity in the house. If that person needs your help, then you need to be there to help them. And then you can gain in that financially by providing value to the banks and to the homeowner. That's the definition of a short sale.
There you go. So let's get back into your topic today is massive profits now. Um, your background before I get into the topic, you entered the short sale aspect, and then you actually got into hard money lending for a while. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, here's the problem. When I say any profit numbers in here, I'm just speaking, for me and stuff like that. And so, for me, my average profit, I make between $50 and $150,000 profit on each house. As a matter of fact, I'm a rehabber. I just gonna admit it, on here, guys. I'm one of those rehabbers. I rehab like 10 houses a year. And my claim to fame is all my renovated houses have sold in 7 days or less, Atlas price or higher for 14 years now. Yeah, they're drop dead gorgeous. Well, how do I do that? Well, like I just said, I'm making $50 to $150,000 profit on each house. It's really easy to sell them fast if you're making 150 grand. Right. So because of that, JJ, and of course, the way I do that, the reason I'm on here is because I buy them as a short sale. That's what we're going to talk about tonight for 15 years. And by the way, they're not on the MLS. These are not with an agent, but rather we work with the homeowner, and I stop the foreclosure and negotiate with the bank. But anyway, because of that, I've made a lot of money in real estate. And there's so many things you can do in real estate. So what do? I became a hard money lender. Okay, my heart was to help new rehabbers get started. So I give you all the money to buy it, all the money to fix it up, all the money for the points, all the money for the monthly interest payments. You literally need $0 and you can start rehabbing and stuff. And so, that's my heart, and that's what I started doing. Like I said, I've got 3.5 million in cash in my retirement accounts, and I'm not retired. So that's what I do with it. So yeah, I naturally became a hard money lender.
There you go. Somewhere along the line, you were actually asked to start giving presentations and teaching. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, I mean, what happened was about 4 years ago, some people that know me said, hey, you need to teach that to other people. There's this whole world of education out there now, right? I mean, it's very prevalent now today. We've got all the education and people out there, and people sharing stuff and people selling stuff. And it's, with social media and the internet, it's very easy to do that. And people say, you need to get out there and you need to teach other people how to do what you are doing. in short sales. So yeah, about 4 years ago, I started teaching people all across the country, how to do short sales. And it's a federal process too, guys. A short sale is the same in Illinois as it is in Texas. It's identical, the process that you do with the bank. It's the same.
Are there possibly some little oddities from one state to the next, or is it pretty much straight across the board the same?
Well, the thing that is different, let's take the kind of the differences you might think of judicial state, where they have to use a judge to do the foreclosure process. Homeowner stops making their payment, and then the bank is going to come after them and they use a judge. Or a non-judicial state, okay, that's where they stop making their payment, the bank's going to come after them, but all they have to do is post a notice, in the county legal newspaper. So there's two different types of foreclosure, timelines. But all that does, JJ, is just change your marketing letters. So in like Texas and Georgia and Missouri, I got to mail, it's 21 days for the bank. And so I got to mail my letters really quickly to the homeowner. In Illinois and Florida, where it's judicial and it's a much longer time frame, my letters go out much further apart. But once a homeowner calls me and I start on the process, yeah, it's the same forms, the same documents, the same negotiation with the bank after that.
Are you talking about auctions earlier or foreclosures? Is that the way that you primarily go to acquire properties?
Well, yeah. So what happens, in a short sale, what we're doing is we're going to get to that house before it comes to the foreclosure date. So let's just try, let's do this. Somebody stops making their house payment. And then a couple months later, the bank is gonna, tell them you owe us a lot of money, you better pay it back. And then of course they can't do it. And so then the bank is gonna eventually, foreclose on them, which means they're basically gonna take the house back at the courthouse steps. And that's where they post it in the county legal newspaper and say this date and this time, we're going to call out the legal description and the home is going to be bid on by a bunch of other investors, or the bank will end up taking it back. And that's a foreclosure. And so what I do is a short sale, I come in before that. Okay, so yes, there is a actual foreclosure date. I know the date and the time, but I'm going to talk to the homeowner and say, hey, I can help you stop or postpone that date. Would you like me to help you do that? Okay. And so then I come in before that time frame, before the bank takes it back. So the bank does not own the house yet.
Now, let me ask you, because I hear about people being able to go to the county recorder's office and pull lists. And sometimes there's a pre-foreclosure list. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, judicial and non-judicial states. In a judicial state, there's list for like 2 years back from the judge filing, motions and stuff like that. But the main list that people need to be aware of is the one that's common to all states, and that is the actual foreclosure list. And that by law in all counties across the United States must be posted in the county legal newspaper. Now, this isn't the Sun Times where the alien lands on the roof and impregnates the dog. It's not that newspaper. It's the county legal newspaper, where divorces and government contracts are posted. And so all counties in the United States have to post that name and address of that homeowner in there. And that's what I primarily teach people to go after initially. You don't have to go to the admin building or the courthouse steps, JJ. It's got to be posted, in that county legal newspaper. And I teach people to actually go to the internet version and get it before they buy a list, before they, get it from somewhere else. You don't have to buy the list from somebody that's outdated, wrong, and cost too much money. You can go straight. I teach you to go straight to the county legal newspaper and get that, directly for free.
That sounds like an excellent path. Go straight to the county. Paul Hernandez, you are on with David Randolph. What is your question?
Hey, David. My question is, I'm in California, and to go through this process, you have to use a real estate agent. Is that correct?
Very good. I'm glad you pointed that out because anybody, anybody in the United States can negotiate a short sale with the bank, except for two states. Okay, basically, and that's the state of Florida and that's the state of California. But what that means, Paul, is that you work with a real estate agent. I even teach all across the country for you to work with a real estate agent in all 50 states, not just Florida and not just California. And there's some very good reasons why I do that. But yes, you do want to absolutely have a real estate agent on your team. That's a very good, you want to have that kind of person on your team. Absolutely.
Yeah, I spoke with a few agents in between the last time you were on the Zoom, and I'll have to admit I don't think I want to work with a real estate agent.
Well, let's leave personalities out of it here, okay?
Oh no, that had nothing to do with it. It was more like competency.
Well, okay. Well, let's leave personalities out of it.
Oh, okay.
No, I understand what you're saying. And so you really have to have be part of a network. I mean, JJ, you should maybe do this one time to say, hey, all investor real estate agents on here, identify yourself right now, because Paul needs to work with a real estate agent who is an investor, maybe just like him, to have somebody on their team. And so, Paul, that's probably what you need to try to do is investor real estate agent.
Sounds like a potential video, right, JJ?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think having a call
For
and
me to,
all
yeah,
the
for me to
agents
post
together would
also.
be great. And actually, Paul, we have an agent on the call right now, Serena Bales. So feel free to reach out to her. She'd be a great start. We maybe can bring her on with a question in a bit. Did that answer your question, Paul?
Oh, yes, it did. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for joining us, my friend. Always good to see you. We have my good friend Heidi Chesler. Heidi, you are on with David Randolph. What's your question?
Thanks. Hi, David. My question, let's see, full disclosure, not that familiar with short sales. So could you just walk us through kind of what the process looks like from beginning to end? Like once you've contacted, the person that you're going to assist with the whole process. I know you said you use real estate agents, you work with the bank, all those different things. Can you just sort of walk through a general timeline in the things that you're doing to support them along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. No, to be clear, the real estate agent is supporting you. You
Okay.
are the maestro. You are the one running the team, and the agent is just a person with their real estate license. They don't actually do any work, okay? Because you are going to learn short sales. You're going to be experienced in them. You're going to get education. You're going to be the one that's actually doing the negotiation with the bank. And so the real estate agent normally actually gets paid just a flat fee for that, because they're not even filling out the paperwork. But yeah, let me just run through the 5 quick, simple steps of the short sale process for you. And try to keep it, short. So basically, the first thing that what you want to do is you want to get the foreclosure list in that county legal newspaper and mail them a letter. So I teach people to mail them letters. So the first step one is mail them a letter, because that's as old as death and taxes, right? Mailing stuff, right? We've had marketing forever. We don't need SEO. We don't need SPDs or SOO, whatever they go. We don't need bandit signs. Okay, we just need to mail them a letter with our phone number. So the first thing is to reach out through the people with the foreclosure date, and then when they speak with you, you're going to basically help them make a determination. Do they want to keep the house or do they want to sell the house? And so we're there to help them. We're not these what do you call ugly cash buyer house people where we're going to lowball kind of thing. We're not a low cash offer people. We're going to go in and say, now we do. And I'm going to give everybody on here a little trick, okay? When you're on the phone with a homeowner, basically say this to them, because you want to, you don't want to sound like everybody else. So you want to say to them, say, hey, look, hey, although, I could buy your house if you want to sell it, I can help you keep it if you'd rather keep it. And they go, whoa, what was that second part? You can help me keep it. Say, nobody said. They said, I'll give you a cash offer for it. And so you say, although I can buy it if you want to sell it, if you want to keep it, I can help you keep it. And that kind of changes things. So step one is to reach out to them, and then you're going to get an authorization form from them. Okay, that one document lets you do everything we're going to talk about tonight. And so you're going to then have that form and you're going to send it to the bank. and then the bank is going to recognize you, and then you're going to come back and you're going to turn in a packet of information, okay, to the bank. So you're going to send in, these documents to the bank. That's going to basically be applying for a short sale. You're going to check the box, sell your house. Okay. It doesn't say short sale on it, but, that says, I want to keep the house, or I want to sell the house. And you check on the bank's form, I want to sell the house. That means short sale. So you give your package to the bank. Now, the next step is that the bank is going to send out a BPO agent, an appraiser, someone to come to the house and determine what the value of the property is. Very important for you to be there at the house. I've done short sales for 15 years, and I've only lost 5 short sales in 15 years, and all 5 were because I wasn't at the house when the bank sent out their BPO agent, which stands for broker price opinion. It's a real estate agent paid $50 to figure out how much the house is worth. And so I wasn't there. They showed up early. I said, "You just let strangers in your house? Why did you let them in?" And so that's how I've lost 5 over 15 years. So you must be at the house. Now, the next step after that is they're going to determine what that value is, and then you're going to dispute it. Okay, you're not going to see, this is a big mistake that investors make, and certainly real estate agents make. Okay, they don't realize you can actually dispute the value of the
BPO.
On the BPO price. I had a guy just last week, JJ, in Chattanooga, who it was a Fannie Mae short sale. That means the loan was a Fannie Mae loan with the homeowner, and we did a Fannie Mae short sale, and the appraisal came back at $224,000 from the bank, and the house was worth probably like about 320, and so John in Chattanooga was very excited. It's 224, and he thinks he can sell it for 315. He's real excited. And I'm like, hold up, John. There's a step in this process you're forgetting. It's called dispute the appraisal with a bank. He goes, "No, I don't want to do that." It's like, yes, I'm training you how to dispute it. It's a very important step to do. So he does it. He listens to me, and he says, "Well, let's do it, because if we lose the dispute, then I'll just get it for 220. He bought that house. This is all in public records. He bought this house for $174,000, okay? And he just sold it last week in Chattanooga for $315,000, okay? So
Dave, slow down.
All right, sorry.
When you say you want to dispute the BPO, they're going to come in, they're going to put a price on this property. You lost 5 of them, is what you said. The only 5 you've lost are the ones that you were not there when the BPO is there. So when they're coming to evaluate this house, you're there not to dispute, not to negotiate a higher price. Like, hey, this house has more value. You want to negotiate a lower price. Is that correct?
Yes. I want a very low price, because that's what I'm buying it for. I am the buyer and I am the negotiator. Okay, so these are not short sales listed on the MLS with an agent. Those have been already messed up by the agent because they're not trained. Okay, we were talking earlier about he was having Paul having trouble with competency of real estate agents. I'm sure there's like that, and there's good ones too, but they're actually not trained properly on how to do a short sale. They don't understand that they want to get a really low price for it. When you're the buyer, like I do, and like I teach people, you're the buyer and the negotiator. I want a low price, right? And so, yeah, absolutely. That's what we did is, we went ahead and we disputed. That's that, force, that pretty much that last step, in that 5-step process is to make sure to dispute it so that you can get an even lower value. So JJ, look, people don't even understand this either. The bank doesn't want the appraisal. They don't. Every type of loan has a different percentage that they'll accept. Don't pay the bank what the appraisal was. Here, I'll give you some numbers. Okay, we don't have time to probably go through all of them, but write this one down. An FHA homeowner, a short sale for an FHA loan. In other words, the homeowner who missed his payment, he had an FHA loan when he bought the house. That's called an FHA short sale. They'll do an appraisal, okay, but they don't want the appraisal. They'll take 88%. Write it down, 88%, okay? Don't give the bank the appraisal number, because they will take 88%. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, USDA, all those other loans have different percentages. I'll give you another real quick percentage. Conventional loan, okay? Conventional loan is a loan that's not FHA, it's not Fannie Mae, but it's still a bank loan, but it's not those other main types. Conventional short sales will take 45 to 55% of the appraisal. Holy smoke, is that crazy? It's not actually the appraisal number that you're looking at. It's this other thing here, and this is why we dispute them. Anyway, the last final step pretty much is, do that dispute, get a new value, and then come to closing, where you're going to actually buy the house. The homeowner is going to get paid some money by the bank. They're going to have their record showing that it was paid in full at reduced amount. It hurts them 50 points for like 1 year on their credit. And the family is able to start completely over with it. And so it's a great situation to be in to help families out. It's a simple process.
I'm sure there are a few more steps, and I really can't wait to hear you and Serena chat, because I could see her like nodding the whole time about everything you were saying. But I do have one more question before we go. I'm just curious. So if the homeowner says, I want to keep the house, then what does that look like? You don't have to go through a million steps, but just generally, what does that look like for them?
That's fantastic. We want them to say that, because what happens is then they're going to throw away everybody else's letters because those people can't help them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to keep it. Say, well, look, I specialize in helping you keep the house, okay? And stuff like that. And so what you're going to do is you're going to help them do what's called a loan modification with the bank. Okay, now here's what really happens, Heidi, in reality. Oh, this is so terrible. But in reality, only 2% of those ever get approved by the bank. Okay, they don't have a job. Okay, they don't have the income. They don't have the interest rate that they can refinance. They won't actually qualify. Well, guess what happens? You're there at the end with them when the bank tells them that they don't qualify. It's not you telling them that they don't qualify. It's you every step helping them to do that, get that paperwork sent in, and it's actually the same paperwork as the short sale, but the box is checked, I want to keep the house. But it's the same paperwork that still goes in. Now, you don't give an offer, right? You don't turn in an offer because they want to keep it. But that bank documents, is the same, set of paperwork. So when the bank turns them down, they're very sad, and stuff like, well, hey, look, I can help you here. Let's just go ahead and switch over to that short sale thing we talked about, because that's going to get you another couple months, 3 or 4 or 5 months in the house, and you can keep saving up your money, and stuff. And so like, okay, great, let's go ahead and do that. Thank you, David. I'm glad you're here. And that's really exactly how that works, Heidi.
Okay, yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for getting into so much detail. It really is, it is fascinating, and it does just seem like you're kind of just keeping touch with them, helping them along. I guess you have several people you're sort of working with over time, and then when it comes time, when the bank's ready and all the paperwork is in, then it goes through, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, like I said, there's a lot of people. I'm going to tell you, Heidi, 80% don't want to keep it. Okay, they've had a divorce, they've had health issues, the house is run down. So 80% really actually don't want to keep the house on there, but that other percentage do, and so that's great. And sometimes they'll even say, "Well, why are you doing this? What are you?" Because I want you to remember something here. Everybody listening, do not ever let the homeowner pay you any money. Okay, you're not doing this. You don't have a loan modification license or other things. You don't accept any money from the homeowner. Your reward is to buy the house, fix it up, and sell it and make money. And so let's say, well, but if we do a modification, then you're not going to get anything. It's like, oh, I know, but you're going to be really happy with me, and you're going to tell all your friends about me and stuff. And so that's why you do that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Heidi, for joining us. Always good to see you. So we got a couple of questions coming in, but I want to ask you something really quick. I think this is, and I don't know a lot about these things, but kind of basic. My dad, we talked about this the other day. My dad had a friend that owed the bank more money than the house was worth, and the bank was going to kick him out. And as you and I talked, my dad did something he wasn't supposed to do, is he bought the house from the bank and continued to allow the person that was going to lose the house to live in the house. And not only did he allow him to live in the house, my dad had a verbal agreement with the guy that if he was ever able to come up with the money to buy the house back, that my dad was going to sell the house back to him. So in the meantime, he's renting the house to the guy, and they never put it in writing, and I guess because my dad probably knew it wasn't legal, but the verbal agreement was that all of his rent payments would go towards the purchase of the house, but that he had to pay my dad back for the property tax, the property insurance, and that there was going to be a 3%, loan or whatever to, pay my dad back. But what I wanted you to point out is when someone is in a short sale, they have to give up their house. They either can keep it. I guess you said they can keep it in a way. That wasn't the way to keep it. Or somebody buys it. And if someone else buys it, in this case, like my dad, they can't stay in the house. Is that correct? And they can't buy it back from the person that bought it in a short sale. Is that correct?
Yeah, boy, I tell you what, it is actually a federal law. It's not a guideline, it's not a suggestion, it's jail time, Jail, jail time. It is federal law on a short sale that when you buy that house and you're the new owner of it, that you cannot rent it back to the seller and you cannot sell the home back to them. They can't move in and rent it, and they can't buy it back from you. That is federal law. The bank has taken a loss on their loan, and they do not want the seller to have any type of benefit whatsoever. They've got to actually leave and go to some other, location. So yeah, your dad broke both of them. He let him rent it out, and he was wanting to sell it back to him, by applying the rent payments, to it. So that's is a federal crime, actually, and they would both go to jail on there, and they do that too. They send people.
Wow.
So don't do that out there, people listening. Okay, that they have to move to somewhere else.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's just amazing. Serena Bales, you're on with David Randolph. What's your question?
Hey, David. So, yes, I am an agent. I have been on all sides of this. I have also approached people that are losing their house. There's a subscription called The Pulse that we have here, and that's just for the county of Jackson County, I believe. But I find, especially with banks, they are completely unaware of the condition of the properties. I've been the agent listing the property, helping additional short sale companies, and it's crazy. But my question was with the sellers, the problem that I had a lot of the times is they seem like scared cats, and there's a lot of touches that have to be touched on those individuals because a lot of them have already given up hope. They're like, oh, well, I lost it anyway. So with the approach to it, and then also this is very admin heavy to everybody that's listening, and one of your big values that I think you have when you do teach this is the contact list, who you're contacting at these banks. These are very specific lists and very specific people that you have to contact. So
yeah, I mean, look, there are people from the COVID CARES Act moratorium who didn't make payments for 18 months that are still in the house and still not able to make their payments. So these people get in a position in life where they get so far behind on their payments, they just give up on everything because they can't make up all the past due payments that they have. And so, they've made some poor decisions in their life, right? And stuff. They've had, say, maybe some health issues that weren't their fault, or, divorces. And so they got a lot of other factors in life that are looking at them. And so, yeah, they don't know what actions to take. And that's why you can step in and show them through the letters that you mail to them and the phone call or the text message that you send to them. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what, the kind of person that's one of the best person on this call right now, listening to this, to be to do short sales. The best type of person that would be successful in short sales is someone who has actually been foreclosed on in the past or lost their house in the past. Because what happens is you're on the phone with them, and you don't call them up and say, hey, look, I listened to David Randolph, and I can make $150,000 profit. Would you let me do a short sale on your house? That's not what you say on the phone. Instead, you want to say, hey, look, 6 years ago, I got divorced and we couldn't make our payment on our house, and we ended up losing a foreclosure. We didn't even know what a short sale was. And I wish somebody back then would have been there for me. But you know what, sir? I'm here for you right now to help you out of your situation. Every time that homeowner is going to say, thank you, what do I need to do? And then you say, hey, great, just fill out this authorization form and I'll take over everything there. So you have to have that empathy, but you have to reach out through letters where they can read them and they can see them and throw them away. And then on the phone, you got to be there to say, hey, I can help you kind of, get out of this situation, and then explain to them, how bad the foreclosure process is, which, we don't need to go through how bad, the whole thing on there, but it's very, very bad for them. One thing I'd say on the banks, though, that's a little bit different is that actually, no, I don't have a single contact at the bank. Okay. Every short sale, only in 15 years have I only had the same negotiator twice in 15 years. It's always a different person. So over 15 years, only did I have the same negotiator from the bank on my house twice. That's it. And so it's not like like REO property where the bank has taken the home back and owns it. Yes, they've got an asset manager, and that asset manager has millions of dollars of houses. And if you can find out who they are through a real estate agent, that's a good inside track. But in the short sale, the bank doesn't own the house. There isn't any department, for that. All they have is a loss mitigation department that looks at, can we do a modification? Is there an offer coming in that we can look at and accept? And so, you're always dealing with a different person. There's so many banks out there, and then so many different types of loans that you never really run across the same person, which is good for us. Matter of fact, Serena, sometimes if I'm negotiating a short sale with someone at the bank and I don't like them, I'll actually cancel the short sale and then reapply a couple weeks later and get somebody else assigned to it, that I might like better. Okay, that's a little side trick there and stuff. If I don't like that person I'm dealing with, I'll just, cancel it and then apply again and get somebody that they randomly, assign to it on it. Great questions, though.
Yeah, thank you.
Serena, always good to see you, my dear. Big Mike, you're on with David Randolph. What's your question?
Hey, David. I think he actually answered my question. I was going to ask how does he contact the homeowner? Does he cold call them, or do you go in person? And what was your script, which I believe he answered?
Yeah, no, let me give some more clarity on that. Okay, a little bit better. Yes, absolutely. I do believe that direct mail is the best way because it's a quality of life kind of thing in a way. And so you can pay people, to write letters. You can have a VA do it. You can do it yourself. Or if you have a child living at home that's young and wants a salary or an allowance, or if you have a really older kid living at home that, you can maybe put them to work too. So direct mail. Now, then you need to follow that up, Mike, with basically what I like to do is do a phone call. So I want 5 touches, okay? I want 3 letters, okay? 1 phone call and 1 text message, to that homeowner. And so I don't actually do door knocking because that's more intensive effort and that's harder work. But is it successful? Absolutely. I just went door knocking with 5 of my students in 5 different cities, and all 5 times we took 6 houses, okay, that we wanted to go to, and we did this in a 2-hour time frame, okay, and in all 6 cases we got between 1 and 3 short sales just in that 2-hour time frame. So door knocking is successful, but it's also labor intensive, right? You have to go do it. Type thing. But yeah, basically, yeah, you're trying to reach out to them, through a phone call and through letters. And then you're going to be able to, ask them to explain what they've tried to do with the bank already, and see how you can try and help them out. Be a helper to them is what you're trying to do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, David.
So, David, when we're sending letters, I understand door knocking. We're going to go knock doors, and and again, it's finding people that are in foreclosure, right, or about to go into foreclosure. So whether we're door knocking or whether we are sending letters, we're getting the homeowner's information through the county, correct?
Publicly, yes.
Okay. Wanted to clarify that. Louisa, you had a question for David. What's your question?
So I believe he answered it already, and it's how do you help them keep it? And I believe he said it was a readjustment loan, but very few of those actually get approved, correct?
Yeah, so right. So what happens is if they want to keep the house, it's their grandmother's house, they've lived there forever and ever, then the only way you can really do that is to go back through the bank's process to try and change their interest rate or to take how much they owe and put it on the back end of the loan and a bunch of other mathematical formulas. But the bank, needs paperwork and needs, that to officially be submitted to them. And that's where you can bring in your expertise, is to be able to help them properly turn in that paperwork to the bank so that they get a fair shot, at trying to do that. Now, you can't get, whatever out of whatever. If they have no job, they're not going to qualify for a modification, right? So, there's that aspect where they might not, be able to do that at all.
Okay. Kind of a follow-up question. I've actually been doing door knocking. I used to do door-to-door sales. So when it came to real estate, I said door knocking is kind of a no-brainer for me. I'm very comfortable with that. However, I wanted to ask you because I'm in Houston and I've heard that in Harris County you actually need to pay for the list of foreclosures. Can you help me gain some clarity on that and how can I actually get that list?
Yeah, contact me after the Zoom is over. There's no way you should have to be paying for that list. I mean, let's think about why. Let me explain why you don't pay for it. In a foreclosure, you're publicly announcing the address of the property. So millions of people show up at the courthouse steps so they can bid on the house so they can pay back that loan as much as possible. So therefore, you want it to be publicly known to everybody to show up. If that doesn't happen, then there's a travesty committed against that homeowner. And so it has to be free and it has to be public. And stuff. Now, can you pay for a list? Sure, there's lots of people that sell a list all the time. Half of them are wrong, half of them are late. They're delayed by 5 days. I want you to get it from the same place they get it from. So contact me, after this or something. And by the way, Houston just moved into the top 15 for delinquent loans. You are really in a great place there. Harris County specifically, I think there were, I don't want to quote a number, but there's a lot every single month in Harris County.
And when you get the list, it includes the owner's phone number, correct?
Oh no. No,
Oh.
you have to skip trace that. You'll only get the name and the address in the public posting, just the name and address.
So what's the best way to do that? Because I was
Well,
skip tracing with PropWire, and I think 85% of the numbers that I was getting were disconnected or not in service.
So don't use PropWire. Like half a dozen other, possibilities. There's so many skip tracing companies out there. We could fill a chat box a mile long with it. So you just need to try some others, that are out there. If you want to contact me tomorrow, I can give you a whole list of them, stuff like that. But, just one for everybody else in case you don't even have one is, Been Verified is one of them. Okay. BeenVerified.com, it has, skip tracing. It also gives you the relatives on it and then, their phone numbers and stuff too. So, that's one of them. The accuracy isn't good with any of them. Okay. Now it's better than, it's better than what you see, but it's only usually about 50% accurate anyway with it. Yeah.
Okay. So my last question, how do I contact you?
Well,
we are going to go over that at the end of the call. We'll get all his information. You'll get his MySpace page, everything.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you.
Cool.
Where do you get your statistics, or what's the best place to get your statistics of how many of these foreclosures are occurring throughout the nation?
ICE. So, okay, great, JJ. So scroll down, go wait. Well, there's like 30 pages of useful stuff. It goes state by state in here. It's going to show the total number of 30-day, 60-day, 90-day lates. in there. This is things like 35 pages long, and it's got all kinds of data. This comes out, every single month, showing the percent, delinquent loans and mortgage performance and stuff across the United
Right. This is
States.
this is where they're located, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a state by state one. There's a whole
Wow,
table.
check that out. Over in the area here of the Northeast Atlantic
Yeah.
area over there. Wow. So this website is static.icemortgagetechnology.com. And guys, it seems like some pretty informative stuff right here. Does that answer your question, Paul?
Yes, thank you very much, David.
Jerome Johnson, you are up. What's your question for David?
Hey, David, the question I had, you mentioned the authorization form. Where does that form come from? Do you generate it as a standard form or what?
Yes, yeah, that is a document that you would create and you would use on every single short sale across the board, no matter what bank you're working with. It's an authorization form that you create, that the homeowner fills out, and then they sign it, and then you send it. Then you send that into the bank yourself directly.
So what type of content would you put in there? I mean, just a few nuggets.
Basically, you're going to have to show the loan number, okay, from that particular bank, the loan number, and then you're going to also have to have the printed name of the borrowers on the loan itself, okay? And it has to be exact, even if there's a middle initial, and there's a way to find that out. Then the other one is the last four, the social security number, are the main components, and there's a bunch of other stuff in there related to you, like that. But just, just contact me.
Thank you.
David Bolton, you are on with David. What's your question?
Hello, David. There was a general feeling years ago that short sales took forever, like the banks weren't very cooperative and in discussing those conditions. And I guess that's not the case today, is it?
No, not really. The banks are desperate. They're literally, I mean, come on, how can somebody in Chattanooga buy a house for 174,000 and sell it for 300? The banks are desperate, okay? And so you can move very quickly. I did a Zoom recording of an entire short sale all the way through, and I did the whole thing in 2 months, and it was 22 hours of recordings, Now I did do it very fast because I needed the video recordings for my students, and I wanted it all the way through. So I did it very quickly, but you can do a short sale in 4 months. But I do say this, I want to emphasize, David, this is important. You want it to take as long as possible, because the longer it takes, the lower the price, the more you can dispute. So I tell people, don't quit your day job, yet. On short sales, there's not enough work to do until you say get, 5 or 10 of them going, in the pipeline, in the backlog, and maybe you're kind of rehabbing some houses, then, quit your job. But, you just don't quit your job until you get a bunch of them, in there.
Is there a target that you shoot for when negotiating with a bank or mortgage company that they find comfortable in accepting?
Target for what?
For like for settlement price on what
yeah,
you
right. Yeah, every loan type has its own percentage. I gave you a couple of them earlier today. Yeah, every loan type has its own little secret percentage and stuff like that. Now you want to be tricky though, always add a 0.01 to it, because you don't want them to know that you know the number. So when you turn your offer in, make sure, let's say it's 80%. Don't turn your offer in for 80% of the appraisal, then they'll know that you know the number. And so go a couple $100 higher so they don't know that you know, okay?
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
David, thank you so much, my friend. Tony, can you hear us? Tony?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome, brother. You are on with David. What's your question?
Hey, David, nice to meet you. So I had a couple quick questions. I guess one of them is, how many of these properties are you buying a year, and are you personally taking on each one, or are you wholesaling them out as well?
Well, no, I'm a rehabber, remember, and so I do like 5 to 10 a year, okay? And so I like to be a housing provider. We need housing. We have a great shortage all across the country on housing. So for me, I do about 10 a year.
Okay. And is there any certain criteria that you're passing over on these properties?
Well, to be honest with you, I would call it reverse mortgages. And the reason is, on a reverse mortgage, which is a type of loan, and that percentage that the bank will accept is 95%. That's too high. I would rather go to FHA for the same appraisal, the same value of a house, and they'll take 88%. Why do I want to waste my time with a reverse mortgage where it's 95%? And so, no, I like to stay away from reverse mortgages just for, business reasons.
Okay, makes sense. And in terms of the other ones, are you buying ones that do have equity or are you evaluating them as the as is value? Do you care if they're deep in arrears? Do you care if they have massive amounts of rehab needed? Anything along those lines? Or
Yeah,
is it just
great question. It is completely irrelevant how much they owe. What the bank will accept is not a percentage of what they owe. The amount they owe, the amount of arrearages, and how much behind they are is meaningless. As a matter of fact, I've sometimes been afraid that I would do a short sale on a free and clear house. Okay. I don't look at the loan. Now, in a free and clear, there is no bank to negotiate. But my point is, I never look at, well, here, I'll give you an example. I bought a house for $29,600. Okay. The loan was 204. I bought it for 29.6. The loan was 204,000. I sold it for 275. Okay. So I don't care how much the loan is. Now, as far as rehab, since I do rehabs, I am comfortable, with those kind of houses. Now, you could just wholesale that off. If you don't want to do a $50,000 rehab or a $100,000 rehab, then you don't have to just sell it to somebody else. When you're buying it for $29,600, you can find somebody that'll buy it from you for 150, and you can just move on. So it's really your choice. But I will say just real quickly, uh, I bought a house for $270,000 and sold it for $370,000 to a retail buyer and did zero to the house. Made $100,000 gross profit on that house because no work was done to it. And so you can do pretty houses too. They don't have to be houses in bad shape.
absolutely? So I guess that would lead me into my next question. Are you able to do this with newer builds?
That's a good question. I did one that was 8 years old, and it was kind of an experiment. It needed nothing. It had granite countertops, wood floors, and so I thought, I'm just going to go try and do a short sale on a house that's fairly new, okay, and see what I could do. And I basically bought that house, for $150,000. Oh no, sorry, $112,000. And then I did sell the house for like $250,000. So, like I said, the bank has many different reasons for selling, and we haven't got into it. And I got I got a training workshop that I do, and I get into this more detail of really why the banks are doing this. Okay. But it kind of has to do with fiat currency and a lot of other things behind the scenes. But yeah, absolutely. Now, brand new construction, like 1 year old, I think there's some issues with that. Doing a short sale on a house where the loan is less than 1 year, at least in the FHA loan, is actually considered loan fraud type thing. So in other words, a homeowner could be in trouble trying to do a short sale if it's within 1 year. But basically, I do pretty houses, but not new construction.
Okay, makes sense. And then I guess I had a question. Are you buying these houses outright from the individuals with this piece of paperwork, like a quit claim deed? And or how are you going about that? Are you giving them any type of relocation?
Yeah, great question. It was just a Zoom session, but I got a whole workshop on all the paperwork. There's three groups of paperwork you turn in. I mentioned briefly earlier about the bank documents, the RMA form. Then there's a realtor set of documents, and then there's an investor packet of documents that you give to the bank. And so everything is being done, through the bank, and the bank is the one that's going to give them money on the HUD statement on the closing. So we're doing a purchase sale contract. We are a buyer and a seller with a normal contract. And as a matter of fact, the closing is just like any other closing, except that the payoff from the bank is $29,600 instead of 204. And then the bank has a few other clauses in that approval letter, but it's a normal closing. You get the bottle of water, you sit at the table, you sign the document, some cookies. It's just like any other closing, basically that you would have, with a purchase sale contract.
Okay, and I guess my last question would be, upon the approval of this, are you then outright purchasing these properties for cash?
Well, good question. So here's a trick. Write this down, okay? And so write this down. When you're doing a short sale and you're going to turn in your purchase sale contract to the bank, it needs to be cash as is. The bank will not doesn't want you to turn in an offer where it's contingent on you getting some kind of financing. They don't like that. So say cash as is. But everybody on here in your city, you know that your real estate board contract allows you to come to closing with a loan, okay, as long as you don't change the terms. So give to the bank cash as is, but when you come to closing, you can get a hard money loan, okay, and buy it with the hard money loan cash for it. But yeah, the bank is getting their payoff for $29,600, and then you can borrow that $29,000 from a hard money person.
Wow.
Okay,
You don't need your own money. You don't need your own money.
Cool.
great. I guess I did have one last question. Is there any, I know you like to provide value and provide houses to the market. By doing that, is there any reason that you're not looking to wholesale them to others that can do that, so you're doing it at a larger scale?
Well, I'm greedy. Okay. I make basically for me, I make a gross profit of $150,000 if I rehab it. If I wholesale it, I make a gross profit of 80,000. 150 minus 80 is a big number. And so I'm greedy. I like to make the 150. Now I wholesale a couple, 2 or 3 a year. And the reason I do that is because I learned from 2009 and 2010 in that debacle not to hold houses sitting around with nothing being done. So if I'm rehabbing more than 2 houses at one time and I get an approval from a bank, I will wholesale that off to another rehabber. But that's only a couple a year, like that.
Gotcha. Well, thank you very much.
Alexandros, you are on with David Randolph. What's your question?
Hello, David. Very good information. Thank you for everything. So my question is, in the beginning of the meeting, you mentioned that someone needs to work with a investor-friendly real estate agent. So where does the agent fits in this equation? Do you need him like for the closing,
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
closing table, or somewhere in between?
No. What you do is, you're the one that's mailing out letters. You're the one that's doing the names and addresses and skip tracing. You're getting the deal. You're working with the homeowner. They're authorizing you to speak to the bank. And then the only reason that you bring the real estate agent in is because they are going to want to have a purchase sale contract. And so I like to use a real estate board contract form. Okay. And so I'm not an agent myself. So I'm going to have an agent give me the blank form and I'm going to fill it all out, get it all signed, and I'm going to send it back to them, and they're going to stick it in their file. Matter of fact, at the end of closing, they get a wire for $1,500, and they say, "Hey, David, I guess you did another short sale. I received a wire." I'm like, "Yep, check your email. You got all the PDFs, copies of all the lead paint and the listing agreement and the purchase sale. That's all they do, okay? And they put it on the MLS. We mark it, basically active, and then we go pending with it, and then we give all that paperwork to the bank, and the agent doesn't even really know too much about it in reality, okay? And you don't even have to use an agent, okay? You don't have, in California and Florida, yes, you have to work with one, but you don't actually have to have one in the other states. And I used to do this all the time, with the bank, but then I got lazy. So I used to, the bank would come along and say, "Hey, we want you to get an agent." And I said, "Really, you want me to get a real estate agent? Why is that?" "Well, we need you to get one." "Okay, well, look, wait a minute. So you mean you've already come out and determined the price of the house, you did your appraisal, and you already have a buyer with a contract, okay, but you want me to go get an agent? I'll go do that right now. But now you do understand that on the HUD statement, the net to the bank, the amount that goes to the bank is going to drop by 6% commission, right? And stuff. And so, I'm like, "But let me go get them." They're like, wait, hold on a minute. Wait, you're right. We have an appraisal. We have a buyer at that price. What do we need the agent for anyway? And so a lot of times through a series of paperwork I would send to the bank, they go, "Yeah, you're right. We don't need the agent." Okay. Matter of fact, I'll even point this out to you on the bank's own RMA form. This is going to blow people's mind. Okay. Because what I just said, a lot of people are like, That's heresy. You have to use an agent. No, you don't. The bank's own form has a checkbox that says FSBO. Do you know what that means? For sale by owner, right?
My owner.
Exactly. You don't have, but Alexandros, I'm lazy today. I don't want to wait, and I don't want to go through that paperwork with the bank. I'd rather pay $1,500 to an agent on my team. Now that agent, when I fix that house up, they can sell my house, right? When I get it all
Yep.
fixed up, right? So you want an agent on your team.
David, brother, I'm watching all the little faces on little windows, but people taking notes and pens moving there. It's dropping unbelievable value. I thank you so much. If people want to reach out to you weeks and months down the line, they're watching on YouTube and or people even on the call today, what's the best way to reach you?
My website's got a lot of information on there, thedavidrandolph.com. That's got stuff to my lending program. That's got free stuff to about short sales, so you can get free information from me. JJ, what I'd like to do for your people to really get in touch with me, even after they listen to this, I do a 2-hour workshop every single month. I want your people to come to that for free, okay? You said that it cost you money. Well, you're not right. Okay, for JJ's people, there's no cost for this. So if you text JJ to my phone number at 636-685-2990, then you can come to my 2-hour workshop that I do every month, and I will teach you on short sales in a logical manner all the way through the process. As a matter of fact, I'll throw that in the chat box. So thanks to JJ, there will be no cost to go to this 2-hour workshop. And then you'll get a lot of, we'll go through the paperwork. We didn't have a chance to talk about the investor packet, and stuff like that. And we'll talk about things you say to the seller, on the phone. We'll talk about things that you do with the bank, and we'll go through that whole process. And so thedavidrandolph.com. Now, also, I'll do another one here too, because I know that so many investors struggle, okay, with money on a deal. And it's not even just a short sale, but any deal, people worry. And so I've been lending all across the country to people. So if you text LEND, lend to 636-685-2990, I have a 4-page PDF lending document that talks about how I give you my contractors, my material suppliers, my SKU numbers, and it goes on for pages and pages on lending. No credit check, no tax returns. I want new rehabbers to get started in real estate. I want anything to hold you back. I built a network of people in the beginning, and that's how I got to where I am now. That's why I'm with JJ. He is the king of networking, okay, and stuff. I wish I could do what he does, but I knew that it's what I did when I started, was to build a network when I was young and meeting people and stuff, and JJ is facilitating it for us. That's like gold and stuff. But anyway, text JJ. You can get in on that workshop that'll be free to you, or if you want the lending, even if you're not doing a short sale. I've been lending for 11 years.
Wow. That's something else. Hey, brother, again, unbelievable value today. All your information. People will be watching this video again and again, and it's probably going to be one of our better watched videos. I've got one last question for you. I have a networking group. It's about helping people learn how to build their network, learn how to leverage social media. I know after a while I become just a talking head, and people kind of, don't always see the value. But in your opinion, as an experienced investor, someone who's been doing this for a minute and a half, as they say, there are people coming to the investment education groups. Each group has a Facebook page for their community. Astro, Gator, Sub2, Thrive, Clever Investor, all of them have a Facebook page for their community. And they have brand new investors coming in every single day, as well as experienced investors coming in every single day. Most of the time, these investors have never used social media as a tool to build their business. So for anyone who's an investor, new or experienced, what is the importance of using social media, for example, Facebook, to build one's business?
Look, if you don't know the answer to that question in about March of 2020, then you were living under a rock, okay? Because that's all we had was social media, in 2020. And now with the ability to share so much information across the country like that, there's no way you can physically do that, with, traveling the country, or, at best in your local community, you can go to maybe a couple RIA groups, physically, but in social media, it lives when you're sleeping tonight. Your social media is out there working for that person up late at night. Okay, it works around the clock for you. That's how important social media is, so that you can get your message out and put your stuff out there. Okay, so people know what it is, so they can see, put your picture and put, what you do and your links and stuff like that, and post, and then post stuff too. I'll go to a house on a rehab and I'll just pull the phone out and go, hey, look, this tile job is crappy, and stuff. And then someone else will go, well, why is it crappy? And I'll say, well, see, look at the grout line. And so somebody just learned something, right? The power of social media is what that is.
Exactly. I'm going to ask you a new question here. I've got a networking group where I'm actually teaching people how to do that. You've been a part of my group for a minute, as they say. Would you recommend new investors connect with me to help them build their visibility and build their network?
Well, JJ, you're the only one on social media that I know that teaches people how to do it. Okay. Every time you do a Zoom, come 30 minutes early, okay, and learn how to do it right. I don't know any other social influencer person out there who actually takes the time to show you how to do that. Okay. And so, yeah, absolutely, because, you are here to help people connect. I mean, you even tell people to exchange phone numbers. How many times do you go in on someone else's Zoom session and they don't even open the chat box for you to communicate? Okay. Look, in my Zoom sessions, like when you come in on that 2-hour workshop that I've gifted to JJ's people, that chat box is wide open. I want you to put the city you're in. I want you to put your name, your phone number. I want you to put what you do. Are you a plumber? Are you an accountant? Are you a housewife? Are you an attorney? And save that chat box, and do that now. 3 dots at the top. Save that chat box, because you're going to remember and have somebody in that state that you might need to go do something, for you. And so I think that's really, really important, for people to do that.
Well, David, thank you so much. Your feedback, your comments, your perspective on my group, but just speaking today to the group and sharing your value and your experience has been a true gift, and really appreciate you. Can't thank you enough. If you guys are watching on YouTube right now, please like David's video. Please put in the comment section what your takeaways were, what you found valuable, what stuck out to you the most. If you think there's something I can do to improve what I'm doing on my end to provide you a better product as far as my podcast, my Zoom call, maybe someone you'd like to see us interview, please mention that name. Please give us that feedback. Again, if you want to get a hold of David, it's going to be through his website. It's thedavidrandolph.com. This will be his website. You can go to the bottom. You can put in your name, email, phone number. There's more information here about David's coaching, etc. Feel free to contact him. And if you want to contact me and join my group, join my networking group, please scan the turquoise QR code right here. Takes you to my website. Please click the pulsating register now button, register for the group. If you want to see more of our videos that we've recorded from the past, please go to my YouTube channel here, Flip Side Up with JJ, the purple QR code. Scan that, subscribe. You'll see all the videos from the past, over 300 of them, and what we've got coming up. You'll always be notified of the newest recent videos that have dropped to our page. So, if you guys have been watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. If you guys have been on the call, do not go away. We're going to say goodbye to David and have a little bit more intimate questions and interaction. David, for everybody else watching on social media, we'll see them in the world of virtual networking, right?
Thank you, JJ. I appreciate what you do.
Thank you, Dave. See you guys soon.